I got samples. Look at me, gauge swatching, doing samples of paint. Like, is this what happens when you turn 30? You're just much less impulsive. Hi, my name is Angel Wood of The Wood Homestead, and this is episode 1 of the HomeMaker podcast. If you're joining me from Instagram or TikTok, thank you for being here. You might also be wondering why I'm calling this a podcast when it is a YouTube video. Well, I've recently taken up the hobby of knitting, and what the knitting girlies like to do on YouTube is knitting podcasts where they share their finished projects, their works in progress, and their future plans. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you here. My knitting projects, sewing projects, and a little bit of my home renovation, DIY projects. Just everything when it comes to homemaking, making a home your own, homemade, homegrown, that sort of thing. I'm going to bundle all into one, and I'm going to call them the HomeMaker podcasts. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. I would so appreciate it if you click subscribe if you're interested. I will be sharing a lot more on here from here on out. I have been active on Instagram for over 3 years now, and I'm kind of just ready for a change. I'll go into that a little bit in further detail in a future video where I share kind of my why and why I'm kind of wanting to switch over to YouTube, but I won't bore you with that now. I am so excited that you're here. Let's get into my finished projects. Today I'm going to start with my finished sewing projects, and I'm going to start with this dress here. This is the Syd Tie top/dress. I purchased the pattern from Etsy, but you can find Sydney's stuff on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. She has some amazing tutorials. I watched her tutorial to go along with this dress. I pretty much followed it exactly. The only thing I changed a little bit was the length. I added a third ruffle to the bottom just so that it would fit me a little better. I like it when dresses hit me kind of like right at mid-ankle, like right above boot length. This fabric is from Hobby Lobby. I think I actually purchased a lot extra because I made some Christmas gifts with it as well. I just love this fabric so much. The thing I like the most about this fabric, I think it's a quilting fabric, so it's the same on both sides. I can't remember what that's called. I will look it up and I'll put it on the screen here. So it made sewing it really easy. I didn't have to worry about right side, wrong side, and making sure that was right before I sewed it, which made it really beginner friendly. This was my first time sewing anything from a pattern. Clothing wise, I did do a couple other patterns for other Christmas gifts that I did, but I finished this one on Christmas Day so that I could wear it, or Christmas Eve, so I could wear it to our Christmas Eve party. Printing out the pattern and taping it and cutting it all out was quite the process, but it was totally worth it. I really loved that I could make it exactly my size and remove all of the other lines for all the other sizes. You can customize it to print just your size, which makes cutting it out really easy. Overall, I had such an awesome time sewing this dress. I'm just so excited to start this journey of sewing my own clothes. It's something I've always wanted to do since I was a little girl, and I just never understood how to use patterns, how to use a sewing machine. But thank you, Sydney, for your amazing tutorials. They are so in-depth and it really makes sewing feel accessible. The next thing I finished was in early January. I wanted to get this done for my youngest's birthday. And so I sewed this happy birthday banner. This is from Ashley at Sweet Meadow Farmhouse. This was a free printable when you sign up for her newsletter. I had originally found the inspiration picture on Pinterest, which linked to her blog. She might have a blog post about it. I know she's been sharing a little bit on Instagram about it. Because I had posted a reel on there that really blew up, which is awesome, and I have so many people saying that they're going to make one of these too, and I just had so much fun. This is all scrap fabric from my stash and from my mother-in-law's stash. She lets me come to her house sometimes and sort through her scrap fabric, and I'm very thankful for that because she has really cute stuff in there. The pattern, I think, calls for felt, and I used flannel. And I attached it with a heat bond adhesive. Then I sewed it on just with a regular straight stitch. And I thrifted a bunch of this double fold bias tape. And this is something I'm always going to have on hand because already I've used it for tons of different projects, including this one. I have 2 kids, so what I did, one has 4 letters in his name, the other has 5. So I put their names on one side and then the other, and then the one with 4 letters, I just did a little exclamation point at the end. And it turned out so cute, and we were able to hang it up for his birthday party this year, and we'll get to use it year after year after year, and I hope that someday they'll be fighting over who gets to take the happy birthday banner home to their house. I'll probably end up just making another one. Okay, for my last sewing project that I finished so far this year, I just did another little bunting. This was also scrap fabric, and I had sewed up some scrap quilt squares that I cut up to make these ones. The rest is all thrifted fabrics that I just used as scraps. And this goes along with the boys' room makeover that I will share a little bit more about when I talk about my current works in progress. There was no pattern that went with this one. I just kind of winged it. I cut out a little triangle to use as my guide, and then just used a double fold bias tape again at the top. Next up, we'll move on to knitting, the first project I finished this year, and this is the one that kind of got me started on my knitting journey. I've known how to knit since I was probably like 11 or 12, but I never knit anything that I could actually wear. It was always like half of a scarf or just something in garter stitch. I just gave up on it every time I tried. I had never done anything with a pattern until I had my first son. I knit this little sweater for him when I was pregnant, and that kind of just got me back in the practice of knitting, so I wouldn't forget how. This January I tackled the Sophie scarf. I saw it all over Pinterest, and actually I think I saw it on TikTok first. Somehow I ended up on knitting TikTok, and of course I saw the Sophie scarf, and I thought it was just so cute and so unique. I know that everyone and their mother has knit a Sophie scarf. I've never seen one out in the wild. I don't have that many friends that knit, so I had never even seen anything like this. And I just thought it was so unique and cool. I was like, oh, I have to make that. This I think I made with Quince & Co. Phoebe, which is a DK merino wool. I think this is the color Blue Lace Agate. I threw away the, what is it called? The little wrapper thing, the paper wrap. So I'm not 100% sure on what this is, but I know that it is by Quince & Co. I think this was a really fun beginner project. I had never done anything with an I-cord before, so that was fun to learn about that. It was really fast. It felt like it was taking forever, but now that I've knit other things, I was like, oh, 3 days is nothing. When you go from sewing to knitting, there is a bigger payoff, I feel like, because the projects just take so much longer. Like to sew a scarf that looked like this would take 1 day, 1 hour, half an hour. And for this to take 3 days, probably 6 hours of knitting, it's a big jump and switch in your mindset. Next, I had a friend who was pregnant, and she had her baby shower in early February, and 2 weeks before, I decided I was going to knit the Holger baby set by PetiteKnit, and I thought, oh, 2 weeks will be plenty. So I had just finished the Sophie scarf. I said 2 weeks will be plenty to knit the whole set, the sweater and the pants. I can do the sweater in a week, I can do the pants in a week. Well, the sweater took me exactly 2 weeks. I cast off and weaved in my ends the day of the shower, so I didn't even get to block it. It turned out so cute. I just love the stripes and the different color sleeves, and then with the kind of more neutral pant. I didn't finish the pants, so I had to draw a little picture of what they would look like, and I'm going to cast those on very soon. I could count this as a work in progress, but because the sweater is done, we'll count that as done, and I might talk about the pants in my work in progress section. The yarn I used for this sweater was all fingering weight I think most of it was merino or like a merino nylon. Some of it was sock yarn that I purchased from our local store. It's like a local gift shop that has a yarn section. And so I wanted to purchase as much from that store as I could. So because it was such a mismatch, you don't need a ton of yarn. I just bought these little tiny hanks of sock yarn and used those. You only need about 10 to 20 grams, maybe even less, of each color to finish. The only thing that I bought more of was for the pants and then the very bottom ribbing of the sweater. That I bought from Hobby Lobby, I think, just because I was looking for that very specific color and I couldn't find it anywhere. I am so excited with how this little baby sweater turned out. I need to make more of them. The only issue was the neck hole seemed pretty small. I'm a little worried that it won't fit over anything larger than a newborn's head. I'm hoping that once we block it, it will stretch out a little bit, but I'm not very hopeful, so it might just be like a newborn size, but a little bit more of an oversized fit, which I think would still be very cute. All right, next up for my finished projects is this step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. I finished this one after the baby sweater, but I had started it probably a week before. So this one was almost done. I had one sleeve left to do when I started the baby sweater, and I was just itching to get back to it, but I was on the deadline, so I worked on the baby sweater for 2 weeks. Then I finally got to finish this one, and this is with Fisherman's Wool by Lion Brand. I wanted a cheaper wool, and this was the only one I could find on the list of suggested yarns. So I purchased it from Joann, and it's very itchy, but I have a pretty high tolerance, so I can wear this all day and it doesn't bother me, but I can see how it would be like having fire on your skin for some people who are more sensitive. But I really loved this pattern, and I loved following along with Florence's tutorial on YouTube. I learned so much. I had no idea how to do raglan construction. The sweater I had made before for my son had it, but that was 6 years ago, so I had totally forgot everything. So the fact that she had a YouTube video that went along with the pattern, step by step, was amazing. I didn't do the German short rows because I couldn't find that on the YouTube tutorial. Maybe it was there, but I don't know. I must have missed it. So the only thing is there's a little bit of like bunching up in the collar just because I didn't do the short rows, but overall I am so happy with how this turned out. I did add a few stitches when I picked up the stitches for the sleeves. I think I added quite a few extra, maybe 5 extra stitches. I did kind of wing the sleeves, so I didn't follow her pattern for decreases. I just kind of did one every 5 or 6 or 7 rows, which you probably shouldn't do if you want a more polished sweater look, but that's just what I decided. And so then I cast off when it hit me about here because I knew that it would grow with blocking, and it did, and it seriously turned out so perfectly. The fit is exactly what I was looking for. I wanted more of a shorter sweater so that I could wear it with skirts or over the top of dresses, and that it would hit still at a flattering spot on my waist. So it is short when I'm wearing it with jeans, but when I'm wearing it with a skirt or a dress, it is perfect. And I have nothing negative to say about this pattern. It was so good. I loved following along with it, and it was an amazing gateway sweater. My last finished project so far this year are these kids ribbed socks. These are still wet because I blocked them this morning. These are for my oldest son, whose favorite color is red. He's been just waiting so patiently for me to make him something because he saw me making my own sweater, then he saw me making a baby sweater, and he said, "Mom, will you please make me a pair of red socks?" And I said, "Of course I will." So I made these, and I really loved following this pattern. It is the ribbed kid sock pattern on Ravelry from Susan B. Anderson. It was so easy to follow. I've never made socks before, and I think they turned out so great, so cute, and I learned a lot of new things from doing these. I love this ribbing pattern where it's knit 3, purl 1. I love how it looks when it's not being stretched. I love how it stretches out, and I will be making them again, probably over and over again, because these came together in about a week. Now let's move on to my current whips. All right, so I actually don't have anything on my needles right now, but I'm going to count this as a work in progress because I've done everything but cast on. So I'm going to be making the Amy sweater next by PetiteKnit. I just love the look of this one. I love the color that she used, the big thick rolled collar, the rolled edges with the stockinette roll cast off after the ribbing. I just think that detail is so cute. I decided for my first real sweater I was going to invest in some quality yarn, so I went to the only yarn store close to me and tried to find something as close to Peer Gynt as I could because the pattern calls for Peer Gynt. They didn't have that, so I decided to do a different type of wool with a finer weight and then hold it with a Mohair. I'm using these two right here. This is a Merino and this is the Mohair. The Merino is Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia Organic Merino, and the color is 132 Moss. The Mohair is Rowan Kidsilk Haze, and this color is I actually don't know how to find the color on this, so if you know, let me know. It's just a very lime green. In PetiteKnit's original sweater that she made, it was a very bright lime green. So when I found this yarn, I really liked it, and I liked the softness of it. But I wanted it to be brightened up a little bit, so I thought that by holding it with this lime green mohair that it would do that. And spoiler alert, it did, because I decided to do a gauge swatch because I just spent a fortune on yarn and I want this sweater to be as perfect as I can get it. So I did do the gauge swatch and I blocked it and it turned out perfectly. So you need a 4x4 square. I think it's 20 stitches across, 30 rows. I blocked it and laid it out, and it seriously is perfect. 4x4 inches. I won't go into too much detail about the sweater, mostly because I haven't even cast it on yet, but I will be doing, I think, a vlog style video of every step of making this sweater. Not a tutorial at all, because I should say I am not a brand new beginner, but if you're beginner, novice, intermediate, I would say I'm right there at novice, where I don't have very much experience under my belt, but I am not a brand new beginner. Don't want to brag, but I can sometimes knit without looking. I don't currently have any sewing projects that I'm working on, but I do have many in my future plans. So now I'm going to talk about the DIY home renovation works in progress, and the room I'm working on right now is my son's room. I have two boys. They're pretty much out of toddlerhood, so they're, two little boys. They have their own interests, and they're starting to really develop their style of what they like and what they're into. And of course it's a whole mix of things, but I wanted to give them a little room makeover, a little refresh, because for the last 5 years it's been just white walls, no trim, kind of just pieced together, which is fine, but I wanted to do something that felt special for them. And so I painted the walls. The colors I decided on were Delft and Rembrandt red, both by Sherwin and both at 75%. I got samples. Look at me, gauge swatching, doing samples of paint. Like, is this what happens when you turn 30? You're just much less impulsive. I'm not 30 yet. I turn 30 in 2 months, but I'm thinking that it probably is related to that. So I swatched the full color Delft and Rembrandt Ruby, and they were just a little bit too intense. I wanted them to be lightened up a little bit. So I thought 75% would be good. So I went for it. I bought the paint and I painted. I also hung wallpaper in their room. They love the woods. They love woodland animals and creatures and moose and deer. And so I worked together with Photowall Sweden to hang this wallpaper up in their room. And they loved it. I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. That was about a month ago, and I've been kind of taking a break from doing home renovation projects in the meantime, but I do have lots of future plans for in their room. I want to sew a quilt, maybe 2 quilts for each of their beds. I have to hang baseboards and door trim. And I also have plans for a built-in bookshelf on one side of the door. I really want to maximize the storage space because they don't have a closet in their room. Most of their clothes fit in dressers. 2 dressers is a good amount. They're still young, so their clothes don't take up a ton of space. I also have a hanging section to hang all of their nice shirts, their sweatshirts, things like that, that I'll probably do a built-in type of thing in the future, but I haven't decided quite yet what I'm going to do there. It has been so much fun to give their room a makeover using things that I know that they will love. It's just so much fun to see your children's face light up when they know that you've been paying attention to their interests and kind of just customizing things to fit them. Okay, next on to my future plans and projects. I will try to make this short because there's no promises. I'm just going to show you what I'm inspired by, kind of the idea of where I'm going coming into the spring and summer. I've been using Pinterest a lot lately, especially for wardrobe inspiration. My goal this year is to not buy any clothing except for maybe socks, even though I can knit those, but that might be a lot. So the only clothing I'm buying this year are socks and underwear and 1 nice pair of jeans. I'm going to make all of my blouses, tops, tank tops. I'm going to knit all my sweaters because what I like to do is I like to search Pinterest for outfit inspiration. Then I go to the thrift store and I try to get something that's close enough and I don't love it. It's either the wrong color or the wrong fit or something that makes me not want to wear it. So my theory is that if I make everything myself, I can make it exactly the way I want it, and I'll be much more likely to wear it for much longer. Even if it's trendy, the time and thought and effort that went into it will make me love it for a longer period of time. So that's my goal right now, is to not buy any clothes for the rest of the year. I can buy materials to make my own clothes in the hopes that my wardrobe will become something that I love instead of just good enough that eventually I just redonate to the thrift store. I've been really loving the collage feature on Pinterest. It's just a really fun way to express like my thoughts and feelings of what my style is. There's a lot of gingham, which I know is kind of trendy right now, but I think it really is so cute. It's such like a darling print, and I just feel so fun and whimsical, and you can add color, and I just think it's a lot of fun. And so I'll be doing a lot of projects with gingham, especially these side tie tops. I think those are so fun. I think they'd be perfect to wear on top of another tank top, on top of a t-shirt like this. If it's colder, you can wear them on top of a long sleeve turtleneck type shirt. I think they're so versatile, and I love things that you can wear in the summer and in the winter, like this dress for Christmas. I wore it on top of a long sleeve turtleneck, but in the summer I don't have to wear anything under it. So it's really versatile, and I want more pieces like that. So that is number 1 on my list for my sewing future plans. I would say that for knitting, after the Amy sweater, I would like to do some sort of a cardigan. I had my eye on the Olga jacket by PetiteKnit. I think that is really cute, and I love cardigans because they just feel more like a slip-on, slip-off type of garment that you can wear in the summer on top of a nice tank top. I really love stripes. I just really am a stripe girly, and I love to mix them with floral print. That's always been one of my favorite things to do. I also would like to knit some sort of a summer top, tank top, or a summer tee, something like that. I don't have one picked out yet, so if you have one that you have had your eye on or have in your queue, let me know what it is. I have kind of been thinking the Audrey tank by PetiteKnit, but I would like to venture out from PetiteKnit. So far, I have loved her patterns. I think they're very easy to read and accessible, but I also really loved Florence Miller's Step by Step sweater, so I should check and see if she's got any tank top or summer top patterns, because I imagine that would be pretty good too. I might be getting in a little over my head here, but I would like to do a slip over and a floral skirt, just like this inspiration photo here. I think this is just so cute. I love the look of it. I love everything about it, and I want to recreate that look as close as I can. Okay, for my future plans going into spring and summer for home renovation, I would really like to get our upstairs bathroom in working order. Right now it is totally torn apart. We can barely walk in there because the floor has nails sticking out of it, because I had started demoing, I think it was last year or maybe even 2 years ago, and I just was so overwhelmed I had to just give up. So I shut the door and haven't really opened it since. And this spring it is time to clean it out. I would like to get the drywall hung, and I would like to get the sink working and a new toilet in there. And that's really the extent of my plans. We don't really have it in the budget to do a full-scale bathroom renovation, even if it is like a budget one. And I also just don't have the mental capacity right now to take on a bathroom renovation. I do a lot of our DIY home projects myself because my husband just spends so much time working. When he gets home, I don't like to do house renovation projects or ask him to do it with me, because I just want to give him some time to just chill out and relax. But he usually has some time off in the spring, and I would like us to be able to tackle that project while he has that time off. And the most exciting future project that I have planned is putting in a cottage garden all throughout our yard, pretty much on every side of our house. I don't have too much set in stone with that, but I am working with Caroline of Figment Cottage Gardens on Instagram, and she just does amazing, beautiful work, and I am so excited to see how this comes together. It's still very early in the planning stages, but I just can't wait to get started on that project. There's still so much snow on the ground, it's hard to even think about it, but it's going to happen. And it will happen sooner than I think, because time just seems to fly by now. Thank you so much for joining me. I really like this style of content where I can really just sit down and explain myself. I have grown so accustomed to fitting everything I want to say in a 30 to 60 second video. It's nice to be able to sit down and just be long-winded and have the chance to explain my thought process and all the details that I want to get out there. It is going to take some getting used to, I think, but I'm really excited to get started on this YouTube journey. Thank you for joining me. It would mean so much if you liked this video and subscribed to my channel. I'm basically starting from scratch here, but I am so excited that you made it all the way to the end. So hopefully see you next time. I don't know how to say goodbye. Goodbye.